Just when you think you're going to do a regular show, and all of a sudden, Disney decides to drop all of the information about Galaxy's Edge. So we took any idea. It's like World of Color opened this past weekend. Want to talk about that? Too bad.
Nope.
No. Universal announced that there's going to be a Death Eater themed light show at Hogwarts that's going to be debuting in Hollywood this year. Do you want to talk about that?
No.
No. Why not? Because we got this ridiculous amount of Galaxy's Edge stuff to talk about, giving all of the information that everybody flippin' wanted to know. Every single ride, every single restaurant, almost every single audio animatronic character, or any the costumes. Like, oh, cool, we got costumes to talk about.
Yeah, we were excited enough about the costumes, and then drop everything.
D23 and various news organizations relating to theme parks were walked around and shown Galaxy's Edge. And as a result, who's gonna see that release window and be like, no. And actually, it was interesting. Mice Chat jumped the gun,
really,
because they had one tweet go out that was like, breaking blah blah, blah information, blah blah blah, exclusive, blah blah blah, blah. And then it went away really quick. Like, I was gonna send it to you in the other room, and then it went away real quick, and then on the hour, everybody's stuff dropped.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just, instead of doing like a time drop, somebody probably just went post instead of, it was really sick. Anyways, this is a Party of Two, a podcast about theme parks. I'm one of your hosts, the internet's Mark B. Donica.
And I'm your other host, Andrea Donica.
See, it's throwing us off. We had this fun bit that we were planning for today, and we'll probably do it at some point in the future as we get closer to Galaxy's Edge. And now that we have all of this information, it's going to make that episode a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
But from... we got names, we got breakdowns, we got previews, we got a look at Hondo Onaka, which was something that everybody was pretty sure that Hondo was going to have something to do with the Smuggler's Run ride, and it was pretty easy to see that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But to then go further than that and be like, yeah, we have an audio animatronic. This is what it looks like. This is the technology that it uses. Like, they went so deep. So this is where this cross-section is going to be interesting. Yeah. It's going to be the cross-section of deep theme park fans and deep Star Wars fans. Because Hondo isn't a surface-level Star Wars character.
No.
Hondo is from the animated world, but then looking and seeing that these animatronics are based on an A1000 and utilize electric motors, like that Bell animatronic is going to be using the Frozen Ever After ones, and the shaman from the Navi River Journey.
Yeah, I think it's
Journey, and Rocket from Guardians. So this is going to be one of the new benchmark audio animatronics, especially on this coast, because stuff in Disneyland, I think the only thing in Disneyland that has this type of tech in it is Mr. Lincoln.
Well, probably also the Pirates auctioneer.
Yeah, the auctioneer. Yeah. It's not listed here, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's an A1000, but I don't know if it's got an electric motor in it. It might still be hydraulic, because that whole system might still be hydraulic.
That's true.
But regardless,
it's super exciting, and it's going to be really exciting seeing him translated from exclusively a cartoon world into a very realistic one in the Star Wars universe and expanded universe that we're going to be a part of. It's really exciting.
What was your favorite thing to read from all of this news?
It's so hard because I'm excited about everything right now. But the Rise of the Resistance attraction, just everything feeling 100% that you're going to be on a Star Destroyer, and 100% in an entire gigantic hangar bay, sounds incredibly overwhelming to the senses, and it feels like this time we're really going to see them go full out. Like, nothing is being held back. They are making sure that they do all of this to perfection. A lot of times I'll go on an attraction and, you know, being the jaded person that I am, I'll see, oh yeah, well, look up at the ceiling, you know, you can see this, you can see that. They are really, really doing everything they can to make this as seamless as possible. And just with the way that they're talking about everything, all of the pictures that we've seen, it looks like you're going to 100% feel like you're in this world. And that is overall what's psyching me out the most for this. As a fan that's grown up with Star Wars my entire life, this is a dream come true. Even if I get kidnapped by the First Order, which will be absolutely terrifying and super cool at the same time.
What I'm interested in is we gotta look at the cast member outfits, and it's not just a simple uniform. Well, let me say this. When Imagineers go crazy with the flowery language that they're known for, of this is going to be a design thing that's this and that, and there's going to be so many and it's going to be its own living, breathing world, your imagination tends to go off into the weeds. And with the cast member outfits, happily surprised that everybody has options, and I think we would be hard pressed to really find two people that look exactly the same. So they didn't just make a costume, they made
interchangeable pieces.
Well, no, they made Batuu culture. Like,
yeah.
what is this town? What's available to them? How would they need to dress on any occasion? As opposed to just, here's pants and a button-up t-shirt. Like, yeah, the cast member outfits for Radiator Springs Racers are cute.
Yeah.
They're very cute, but
they are a uniform.
They're 100% a uniform, and you can tell that. There's certain times when they don't feel like as much of a uniform, but it's still a flippin' uniform.
Yeah.
But with this, it is a uniform, but it's also, they made it make sense. So that gave me a little bit more hope of, okay, people are going to be allowed to express themselves a little bit more, but I wonder if anybody's going to have an option to portray a non-human creature as a cast member.
I'm getting the sense, at least within certain shops and restaurants, that may be the case. And it does feel like there may be a few walk-around characters that we're going to be interacting with. I don't anticipate that they're going to do that necessarily, like, with attractions hosts, because at the end of the day, they also need to know what to do in case of an emergency, and having layers upon layers of potential alien latex or complicated costuming would hinder that.
Well, there are humanoid aliens, you know?
Well, sure.
Like, I would say similar to Hondo having other Weequay can just be something that's on your chin. Like the Walking Dead attraction in Hollywood made normalized zombie makeup that can be easily applied and removed. And while that isn't as complicated as Weequay, or my other example I was going to use, Zabrak, which is Darth Maul, and there's stuff that you can do there where that's a bald cap that has the horns on it. And that, I think, normalizing the various cultures as a place where everybody comes together, like that, because we get it from an employee standpoint from Disney, where it is a mixed culture bag, a mixed backgrounds bag, all of that stuff. But then when you add the entire flipping galaxy into it, then how can you make those same appearances? Like, I'm not expecting a Gungan or anything like that, or a Hutt. Like there's just
Yes.
a hut that's a ride operator for one of these things. But especially in the First Order sector, you know, playing up the unspoken rumor of the Emperor not being as accepted of other non-human cultures, would make sense there. But then as we get into the Resistance sector, having a little bit more diversity when it comes to species. Now that's probably asking for a lot, but I hope that that's something that can eventually happen, because that wasn't something that we were shown here today. No, we were shown what the village looks like, what the Resistance sector is going to look like. All of this flipping news. They gave us partial synopses of the Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run, and do you think they should have done that? Was that a smart move?
Yes, because the other thing is, for these press releases and, you know, the media outlets that were able to take a look at this, they didn't get to experience everything. Rise of the Resistance, they weren't able to go onto that final main ride vehicle to experience everything because there's testing going on. Of course, they need to be safe about these things. And then for Smuggler's Run, they didn't actually go through the experience. And truthfully, it would be hard for them to do because it is 100% interactive and is completely reliant on a mixture of factors with the people that you're with and how everything's going to play out. So there's still a lot that we don't know, and there's a lot that we haven't seen. It gives the audience just enough. For me, this is more like a really good final trailer for a movie.
Yeah, it tells us part of Act 1.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, most of this stuff, it's hard with Rise of the Resistance because it's never really, it's a ride in a general sense, if you had to generalize it and put it in some sort of a category, but it truly is an experience.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, it quote unquote starts the second you walk in to the Resistance base, but it feels like the descriptions that they're giving for this and then comparing it to the one in Smuggler's Run, they're just telling you what the line is like, what the queue is like. But for Rise of the Resistance, it feels kind of like a spoiler because it's all story. It's not like telling us what happens in the Indiana Jones line, because there's story in there.
Yeah.
But people aren't. If there's a way to actively make people care about stepping on the diamond-shaped stones,
yeah,
because that's something that we always do, and I've only a couple times do people like look at us and wonder what the hell we're doing.
I notice it mostly from the kids, which is why I do that the most.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I mean, for those things, that's when you're able to make the magic happen for yourself and for the people around you. And, you know, adults, they're always on their phones and not paying attention and talking, but the kids are closer to the ground and they see it so much more clearly. So, you know, when I see a 6-7-year-old behind us and I make a big deal out of not stepping on those diamonds in the Indiana Jones queue, and then kind of turn around and see that they start to do the same thing, it just, it warms my heart.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot. This is a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much here. And even, I didn't think we were going to get this much of a detailed description.
Oh, no,
this
not at
far
all.
out. Like, are they worried about ticket prices? Or are they worried about ticket purchases? Like, they're worried that people aren't going to come out and see this in droves?
I think they're just giving us what we want. I think, you know what? Here's the thing, too. Everyone that's working on this is pretty darn excited, is what it feels to me. I think they are genuinely proud of the work that they're doing, and things have been going really well with all of the testing, and, you know, they're on schedule where they want to be, and I think they just said to themselves, yes, let's give them a little bit more. And I mean, as a fan, I really appreciate that.
There's a lot more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely reading through the D23 article, the amount of pictures that are there, everything else. I expected this maybe a month before the attraction was going to open.
Yeah, this is like May. I was thinking May.
Yeah, and the fact that we're at the end of February and all of this dropped really seems overly gracious on their part, but I'm appreciative, and maybe they're also doing this too so that if people have been on the fence maybe about planning to come out to Anaheim for the opening or anything else, that they are also giving the public enough time to make those plans, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah.
I mean, they know that we're going to show up because we're in Southern California. They know that the annual pass holders, the loyal fans that always come to the park are going to show up. But this is also for outside tourists. This is going to be a worldwide destination for a vacation, especially for the summer. So it makes sense to me that they're advertising this now. This gives people at least a little bit of time to start making their vacation plans for the summer and make sure that Anaheim is their destination to come and bring their friends, their families, everyone.
It's and so one of the other things that I guess we'll talk about a lot of it, and after seeing what happened with the World of Pandora, I wonder how long some of this stuff is going to last. How pure the land is going to stay before some suit decides that something isn't working. Because as evident with the food that we got from Galaxy's Edge, they're not making anything that's super weird. Like, it's named weird, but it's still like, okay, that could be a thing. I wonder, and because this is a story-based land, you could make anything work. You could say, yeah, the Earth visitors weren't digging the menu, so we decided to change it up, and now it's all burgers and fries and chicken strips. But I don't think
that's going to happen in this case. The menu options that they have put on there, you know, while the names are very weird, as you said, or very, very Star Wars and out there, when you actually see a photo of the dish, like, one of the first things that I saw is, oh, well, that's a pasta dish. And yeah, they've thrown kale into it, which is probably going to be an interesting flavor, which I don't see very often in terms of pasta dishes, but it's still a pasta dish. One thing that made me laugh last night when I was reading through everything, for the kids' menu options, it said, okay, so they can have this noodle bowl and everything else, or they can have mac and cheese with chicken tenders. And I was like, okay, so for the super fussy children that are like, no, that's weird, I don't know what it is. Or
adults, for that matter.
Well, sure.
So
they won't ask for proof that you have a child with you that's ordering, but
it's one of the things, the decisions that I'm really happy about is that they're going plant-based dairy.
Yes.
For the green and blue milk.
I'm so happy about that. I'm lactose intolerant, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a challenge because I have grown up loving dairy things. So the fact that I'm going to be able to drink blue milk, I'm really, really thankful for.
Is a very smart decision. I think people who are, I don't know if anybody would be anti or whatever, nobody knows what blue milk tastes like.
Exactly.
So they're establishing right now. So if anybody has any, like, no, blue milk doesn't taste like, nobody knows.
No one knows.
It's listen, we're big Star Wars fans, but here would be my response to that. It's all fake, man.
Yeah.
Like, they have the opportunity to touch as many people as possible with a memory, a taste memory, a new sensory memory based on stuff that people have known about since the 70s. There are people that could have a 50-year-old memory with nothing to tie it to other than vision, and now you get to add a secondary thing to it.
Do you think that they asked George Lucas and Mark Hamill what it tasted like?
So when I was drinking the blue milk, when I put it out on set, I thought it kind of tastes like almonds.
I don't know. Yeah, but if you asked Hamill, he'd probably just be like, unpasteurized.
You know what? Actually, we should tweet at him. I bet he'd respond.
Did they ask you? Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
But all of this food sounds good. I mean, when we got that first, so we'll go through some of these names. Ronto Roasters is the name that they gave to we saw this image of a pod racing engine that had a big
spit.
Yeah, a vertical spit for like al pastor, or like something that you would see in for falafel, not falafel, but
Brazilian.
Brazilian shawarma. Like there's a lot of different cultures that use
exactly.
a vertical spit.
Awesome barbecuing technique.
Mm-hmm. So
smoking the meats. It's gonna be delicious.
Items include Meluran juice, the turkey jerky, and the Ronto wrap filled with spiced grilled sausage and roasted pork. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And some of these have
taco sausages.
Some of these have names, but they don't, or at least from what I've seen, it doesn't say what's in them. There are exotic non-alcoholic drinks like the Tatooine Sunset or the Sour Sarlacc. And now going to Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo. I mean, you do what you can, really. But we have backstories to all of this. Like, Chef Strano Cookie Tuggs has converted his modified Senar Chal Utilipede transport into a popular mobile kitchen and restaurant. It's a food truck, for goodness sake. They turned a cargo ship into a food truck.
But I appreciate that.
His travels across the galaxy allow him to fill his pantry with exotic ingredients, and he's proud to present Tuggs Grub, a traveling diner for diners traveling, inspired by dishes he created during his time working for Maz Kanata on Takodana. Maz Kanata and Takodana next to each other
is a tongue twister.
It's a tumble into itself.
Jumping back for just 2 seconds, I'm super excited to try a fuzzy tauntaun.
I didn't say anything about a fuzzy tauntaun.
No, well, that's one of the cocktails that's going to be offered in the land.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Well, you were talking about drinks.
Yeah, because that's what it has listed under Ronto Roasters.
Okay, so we're gonna go by every single restaurant.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
Okay. Don't be so fighty.
No.
I'm gonna need a good cocktail when it gets hot out there.
But you won't be able to leave.
I don't care. Oh. DJ Rex will be there.
Fair. But this is where there's chicken. There's a plant-based. It's interesting. They didn't call it a why can't I? What's the fried balls that don't have any meat in them in Mediterranean cooking? Why can't I?
What? Because you're talking like this now. Falafel.
Falafel, yes.
I'm super excited for the falafel. I was personally really, really sad when the Mediterranean food over in California Adventure went away. And granted, I love the Spanish food that's there now. It's delicious. But it gets really hot in Anaheim, and Mediterranean is just very, very refreshing. So the fact that they are bringing it into Galaxies Edge, thank you. And also it's more vegetarian options. It's not as heavy. It's a little bit lighter. That's going to be really, really nice. Mm-hmm. And they are even doing a vegetarian meatloaf, which is great because it's a hearty option, but meatless. And I'm really glad that they are embracing that a little bit more and catering to a wider variety of palates.
Well, what I like is they're not just saying this is from this planet. They are in a couple of places, but you have to know what a kadu is, what a burrafish is, and it places them in different parts of the galaxy, and they'll probably have a little bit of like, this is from this planet, this is from this planet. But I don't like how they're going like, right?
Well, and it shouldn't be heavy-handed because this is a spaceport where people are coming from all over the galaxy. So it 100% makes sense. It should be a melting pot of flavors.
It better be. But they've got something for everybody. They've got seafood, they've got white meat, they've got red meat, and passion fruit mousse raspberry cream puff.
Yeah, those desserts look absolutely delicious. And did you notice the really cute little chocolate medallion that has kind of...
It's a Black Spire,
yeah.
like a simplistic Black Spire thing.
It's nice. Little sigil design for them. I embrace that. I hope we see that kind of in small places, maybe throughout the land as well. I think that's a nice little added detail.
Yeah. There's going to be Kat Saka's kettle, which is just, it sounds like it's going to be just like a stand that has probably some theme park favorites maybe, but the only thing they're advertising is the popcorn mix that's got savory, spicy, and sweet all together. And that picture was one of the ones that made me go, that, even though it's popcorn, seeing it all together there looks like future food.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird how just putting all of those colors together changes how you see it. It's quote unquote just popcorn, but it looks like it has a different texture, a different consistency. That's probably just me, but that's so crazy how popcorn made me do that. All right, let's talk about Oga's Cantina, because that was the thing that made the most news when it was announced. Like, what how can you have a cantina without booze? And so they announced a lot of different types of drinks, and we're just gonna go through them.
And there are non-alcoholic ones as well,
Yeah.
so the little ones can enjoy something as well.
Yeah, we've got a Bespin Fizz, a Bloody Rancor, however you want to say it, Dagobah Slug Slinger, Fuzzy Tauntaun, Jedi Mind Trick, Jet Juice, which that is, I don't know if that was ever said in a cartoon, I just remember that from a book, specifically Lost Stars. Jet Juice was what the pilots would share in the off hours. That was like moonshine, space moonshine, essentially.
I mean, it sounds like it would be kind of hard-hitting.
Well, they also use it to lubricate the engines on the X-Wings.
Oh, God.
Yeah. The Outer Rim, the Spryren Calf, the T-16 Skyhopper, and Yub Nub. I'm a little surprised that they wouldn't put the Yub Nub in the non-alcoholic category.
I'm a little surprised too, but still delighted. I mean, Outback Steakhouse has a koala mixed drink, so here we go. There
we are. And then for the non-alcoholics, it's Black Spire Brew, Blue Bantha, Carbon Freeze, Cliff Dweller, Hyperdrive Punch It. Get it? It's not just Hyperdrive Punch. It's Hyperdrive Punch It. It should be Hyperdrive : Punch It, but that's just me. Jabba Juice, Mugen Tea, and Tureen Tea. And provisions include a cantina mix. But they didn't say anything about beer, because we've talked before that there was a beer that they're testing out for Florida, but I'm not seeing anything here.
However, I will say it has been explicitly stated that there isn't going to be a differentiation in terms of what's offered for food and drink between the two different coasts. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to see at Disneyland is going to be the same thing that ends up in Hollywood Studios.
That's what's making me think, though, is because whether maybe Disney decided to not go forth with a beer, or maybe it's something that they don't serve at Galaxy's Edge, but they serve in Hollywood Studios, or something like that, just to maintain like story clemency. Like, why do they have beer on Batuu? They could
Well,
spin it.
They might be also adopting part of Earth's culture as well, though.
But Earth's not in Star Wars as far as we know, because it's...
As far as we know.
But it's also...
We're all connected in the great circle of life, Mark.
Long ago.
Yeah, but that can mean anything.
It's 20 years. It's 1970. In 1970, what was long ago? The 20s. There's beer in the 20s. Grandma was from the 20s. So they release a lot of pictures, and the one of the things that's interesting that I need a little bit more explanation about, yeah, you're on the same picture,
yeah,
is the donut on top of the blue milk.
So I mean, I like the donut on top of that, but I'm looking at the bone that I would guess is above it's the bloody rancor.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's the bloody rancor. And I'm just like,
your pictures have captions, mine don't. We're on two different websites.
Well, see, I like to go with what Disney officially puts out to the public. Yeah, it's got a little bit of an interesting texture about it, but I'm wondering, is this a cookie?
Maybe. I would think that the Bloody Rancor was a little bit closer to a Bloody Mary. Like, you could kind of suppose what some of these drinks are just by how they're named, but at the same time, they could just be using those conventions to name it without being anything special. Quote unquote anything special.
Well, the other thing too, I'm wondering if Blue Bantha is somehow like a mixture of blue milk with, a couple of add-ons in there.
Yeah, something to help enhance like a cream of coconut.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily, that's not alcoholic, but it's used a lot in alcoholic drinks. Yeah, I don't know. There's just so bloody much. It's interesting that there are a lot of big articles that are coming out that have, yeah, it's all very interesting, and it's hard to sort of break everything down without showing you piece by piece. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the merchandise, because that was something that I was concerned about as well, because one of the first pieces of information to come out was that it's not going to be like standard theme park merchandise. It's going to be stuff made for Galaxy's Edge. It's going to be stuff made from the people here. And so when there was an announcement that, there's going to be a droid shop, like, that's a lot. And then they released photos that have indeed a droid shop called Savi's Workshop. Nope, that's not right. Droid Depot. I was on the wrong thing. It's in the market. You come and you pick parts and pieces off of a conveyor belt and build a custom astromech droid, either an R or BB droid. So it's a lot. Like, how can
it's definitely gonna be expensive, that's for sure. I'm really happy that there's going to be a little DJ Rex that you can take home and can play via Bluetooth from your phone. I'm hoping that that's not going to be an arm and a leg.
Well,
that I'd have to feed to a Rancor to get it.
It also says that the Droid Depot will offer guests pre-built droids, including a C-3PO who has quite a bit to say, especially if you, quote, accidentally take off its head and put it backwards. And I misread. Never mind. It sounded like they said they would have a sample. They had a built Rex droid that you can try out in the store to see how it works, and if that's an open Bluetooth connection that people can play anything on, that was going to be a problem. I just misread this thing here. But looking at the picture that they provided of the droids is interesting, because it looks like they're going to be like small remote control droids. On, like, and
you can get full-sized ones.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mixture of things, and I'm sure that they're doing the smaller ones, one, to be more affordable for most people, because while there is definitely the collectors out there that are going to spend thousands of dollars getting their own full-size replica droid, there's going to be so many people that won't have the funds to do that, so they need to make sure that they can appeal to all checkbooks and wallets.
And also, will you be able to walk out the door with the droid on the ground?
That's what it sounds like to me.
That creates a huge crowd control problem, because on your best day, you have every customer that comes in buys a droid and walks around with it.
Well, they're supposed to interact with the land as well and recognize you and your family members. There's going to be a lot of complex mechanic. What am I trying? I'm inventing words.
That's fine.
Or cross connecting different words together.
It happens.
Mechanics and machinery. There we go.
Oh.
That was the word that I was reaching for. They're going to be very aware of those sort of things. So the idea is that, yeah, you're going to be able to walk out with a droid, and it's going to maybe recognize other droids that are maybe milling around the land, different parts. They might try to warn you if someone from the First Order is coming around the corner and trying to protect you.
So think about that. Let's say you have 200 groups. Split that in half. Two couples, or 100 of those are couples. 100 of those are families of 4. Each kid gets a droid. So that's 2 droids. That's 200 droids that are going to be traveling around on foot. And when you leave Galaxy's Edge, do you just pick up your droid and put it back in a bag or whatever? Or no, now you have additional foot traffic on the Disneyland grounds. And I think that's part of the reason why Project Stardust is changing hard curbs into some like softer, rounder curbs. But ultimately, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot if, like, because we're by the 100th time we go and people bring their droids and everybody, there will be days.
How are they going to make it? Oh, well, I guess they can go through the stroller way.
Yeah. There are
It's
curbs.
got to be like a droid pickup area, maybe by City Hall.
Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if they're going to push heavy for all right, it's going to take a little bit to build this droid, but we have a pickup that's just outside of the thing that will be available at this time, and they just push it. Like, maybe it costs more to get it now, but it costs a little less if you just wait a little while and they ship it to you. Like, sort of like...
Yeah, but what's the fun if you can't play with it in the land? You gotta play with it now.
Then you come back for a second visit.
I'm not gonna leave my droid at Disneyland. That's child abandonment.
No, but you
Mark.
know what I mean. You come back with the droid
Well,
for
sure.
the entire trip. Like, it's a lot of various questions that come up when looking at some of this. Like, some of the weapons, like with the lightsaber stuff. But I'm sorry, you were saying something.
Just real quick, for the droids that you can build, it's either going to be a BB model or an R model.
Yeah, I said that.
I don't remember you doing it,
It's fine.
but that's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Okay. So lightsabers, that's really exciting. I like that we're going to be able to find our Kyber crystal, and then there are all of these different types of handles that are inspired by different periods of the Jedi and what that represents. That sounds really fascinating to me.
Yeah, this is going to be Savi's workshop. It sounds like with a combination of this and Smuggler's Run that Batuu may have some sort of a Kyber resource that the First Order is looking into or the Resistance is looking into. And obviously with with a shop to make your own lightsaber, how is there not any sort of First Order intervention in any way, shape, or form? So I'm wondering how that shop fits in with the politics of the land, and if it's all like under the table, and if it's something where, hey, somebody from the First Order is coming, and they pull a switch, and it's like Prohibition era, and everything like flips over, and everybody's just like, we're a jewelry shop. We sell geodes and all sorts of fancy things, and something like that. It's interesting, but it specifically says during a guided tour. So I think, actually I don't think, this is Disney's answer to the one shop at Universal.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but instead of singling out one person, they've expanded it to be a group. And now all kids will have an opportunity to pick out their crystal, pick out their hilt. And if the big talk of, was it Celebration or was it D23 where they were talking about how cool the lightsabers were?
I don't remember.
Yeah. So at a previous event, they put over how cool the lightsabers were and how real they were, and it wasn't like a plastic cone or anything like that. So with that new technology, this even more so than the droids, everybody's going to walk in and everybody's going to walk out with a lightsaber.
Oh, 100%. And not only that, you can also get full-on Jedi apparel. So you're going to be able to put together your own outfit with what is the name of the place? It's going to be called Black Spire Outfitters. If you wanted to go that route. But also, if you want to dress like the First Order, you can do that as well from First Order Cargo, because they've got all the propaganda and they want you to pledge your allegiance to the First Order.
That's something that I'm going to be that I'm kind of interested in, the fact that they're making it work from a crowd standpoint. The cast members that are going to be the members of the First Order on the Rise of the Resistance ride will be able to treat you a little bit harshly, quote unquote harshly. They'll be able to just say, resistance scum, blah, 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 and all that stuff. But that's another thing where I wonder how long of a day it'll take for somebody then to be just like, hey, just get in the ride. Just go. Please sit down and put your seatbelts on.
Yeah, but that Disney cast members, they really go 100% out of their way to make it as magical of an experience as possible. I think that anyone that's going to be in this section of the parks is going to be someone that is a hardcore Star Wars fan at heart, and they're going to take their job very seriously with that. I think they're going to be even more taking an active role than we might see tour guide level passion and resiliency and commitment to their jobs and the show. That's at least what I fully believe.
Oh, sure. I'm just being silly. Because, like, also, there are times when, like, on Transformers and Mummy, where we've been like...
but that's Universal, honey. That's a completely different story.
Much lower standards.
Well, I could go into all of that.
Nah.
For Universal, the number one thing is safety.
Yeah. And hurry. We're also going to be getting Doc Ondar's Deck of Antiquities, which is going to feature stuff from all across the various eras that we may or may not be familiar with. But Doc Ondar is going to be there. We talked about it in a previous episode. They'll have a translator. This seems like the place where you're going to be able to haggle the most.
It looks like it. At least the feeling that I'm getting now is this might be exclusively where the haggling ends up being. Which also makes sense because it's an antique shop. So I kind of get that. It's like, okay, if I go in to put together a droid, these are all brand new parts. This is what it's priced as. You know, there's no negotiation on that. However, these are this is bric-a-brac that he's collected and put together. And if you want to find out the price, you got to kind of talk to them about it and figure it out. I think what's going to be interesting with the internet is people are going to start to say, hey, what's the best price that you got this for? I got it for this much. And then it's going to be kind of this one-up thing, and everyone's going to try and top each other.
I like that this is where makes place for all of these sort of odds and ends. They've got holocrons, they've got like books from like the ancient Sith of various teachings. There's a lot of bric-a-brac, random stuff. Like I'm seeing busts of various Jedi Masters and statues.
Hey, Darth Maul.
Yeah, and also Darth Maul. I wonder how far they're going to go with it, and I wonder if it's going to be the old adage of, oh well, this is the last one we got. The person leaves and they pull out another last one.
Well, sure.
Or how they're going to manage stock on this, really, because they're going to have assistants that are going to be standard cashiers, but the main attraction being to talk to Doc Ondar seems like something that a lot more people would be interested in doing. So I'm interested in the day-to-day. Like the announcements are cool, but then how are we looking month 2? How are we looking month 22? How are we looking month 52? Like that's where it's gonna be interesting. How long until Doc Ondar needs a break? It's like, oh, he's not in today.
Oh, yeah. It's true. That might happen.
I'm a little trying to be a little realistic.
Sure.
Especially because this is going to be the most popular thing to do in the world if you're a Star Wars fan. And the fact
that's a big statement to make, my love.
I think so, because especially with Celebration not being a yearly thing, this is something you can go to day to days.
Oh, so you're talking about the land in general.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were
Doc Ondar?
Yeah, and I was just like, I mean, yeah, it's going to be cool, but it's not a ride.
I think for the lore masters, like your Star Wars Explains, your Ken Knapsacks, your what have you, this will be a place where you could be like, well, let's see if he knows what this thing is, or let's see if he's familiar with this. Like, I think that's going to be an unspoken challenge, or an unspoken contingent of Star Wars fans that are going to rush this place, are the people that are going to try to fact check the garbo out of it.
Yeah, but that's not what the staff is there for.
No, but fans are selfish. We know what the Star Wars fandom can be like.
Well, sure. Well, Doc Ondar isn't going to be talking in English to us. We're going to have a cast member translator there for us, so they could very well have no idea what the heck we're talking about, because it's not like they're just going to be able to spew Star Wars facts on command. They are in that world. They are actively playing a role, whatever that character's reality is.
No, but I mean, if pulling out a random factoid about this one thing from this one episode of, it's like, do you have this item? And like in a thing of just like something that was featured on an episode of Clone Wars, and it's like, do you have the staff of what have you? And they're like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. Or, yes, I have heard of this thing. Like, just saying that fans are going to try to be terrible people without them thinking that they're going to be terrible people. And I don't think there's any place that has documented the Ithorian language, but I'm sure there are people that are going to try to speak it to him. The one of the only other things that we got confirmed was how much we've been wondering for years. How are you going to be tracked? How are you going to, what is your ticket into this world? And we found out that it's going to be through the Play Disney Parks app, where you'll be able to take jobs, interact with droids, and translate all of the why am I blanking on the language? Oh my god. It's been a long morning.
Arabesh?
Arabesh. And hack various things, but it's all going to be through your phone. And there are varying opinions on this. What do you think about using the app for everything?
I hope that they're strengthening their Wi-Fi over there. I hope they've got lots of that throughout the land.
I hope that Spire's a Wi-Fi tower.
Yeah, literally. But I think that it's a cool idea. Everyone is always on their phones anyway. The fact that you're going to be surrounded in a fully immersive environment, this still keeps people engaged. And the saddest thing, I think, is when people are stuck in long lines in groups and they're not talking to each other and they're just on their phones. And it's like you're surrounded in something that's absolutely amazing. People spent a lot of time putting this together. A lot of thought went into it. And you're there as a group. You should be experiencing it together. And I think that Imagineering has gone out of their way to try to make that better with the technology that we do have, that we walk around with constantly. So I think that is a fantastic opportunity for the people that don't have smartphones. That's going to be a little more challenging, though. Truthfully, they'll probably be with someone that does have a smartphone, in which case I imagine that everyone will be okay and have some fun together.
I hope so. I would like to think that that's how it's going to happen. But I totally agree that giving people something to look at on their phone and to take part in the world, that was ultimately a smart decision. Then there's no barrier of entry. Then it's not like, oh, if you get $10, if you pay $10, you get this communicator, which is all of these things when it could have just been an app. So it works out. Hopefully, like it'll be interesting to see how much it can do and how long because also how many people ask for translations or like the little translators for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Forbidden Eye, when that was like an opening week, first month or two.
Oh, they handed out those cards for years, actually. Yeah, I had stacks of them for a while that I kept a hold of throughout my childhood.
But instead of making physical media that they have to keep producing, then here's digital media that they make once and maintain. Smart idea. Yeah. I think it was a good idea. Was there anything else from this huge splash that caught your attention? We
didn't talk about the pets.
Oh, you're right. We didn't talk about the pets.
We didn't talk about the cute little creatures that you're going to be able to visit at the creature stall. There's going to be porgs, tauntauns, and more. Basically, it looks like a plushy place, though I am hoping that there's going to be, a couple that are maybe cooing in cages or something like that, or,
like the owl shop.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I wonder if there's going to be any sort of like puppetry, if it's going to be like Ren Fair dragons or whatever.
It's definitely possible.
They have they actually just there's an animal at Pandora that cast members have had like a little puppetry thing for that they just started selling. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but from what they showed, I don't know, man.
Yeah, because right now the picture that they do show, they're clearly toys, but there's potential that it could be more. I don't know. It's also a stall, so the infrastructure is probably going to be not as dense as some of the other spots throughout Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, and it's another one of those, what happens in month 2, month 12, month 22.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Watching this land evolve, I think, might be a little bit more interesting than watching it debut. Not to say that it's not going to be interesting, but it's going to be amazing to have and to get, But then how long before it turns into, all right, so if we go to this place by 10:30, then we'll be able to do that, and then we can hit Pirates of the Caribbean, and then blah, blah, blah. Because we're all talking about this like it's going to be its own thing, but now that we've had the pieces of how the park is preparing, and we have the pieces of how the land is preparing. Now, how are the two things going to work together and create an amazing experience? And it looks like it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a remarkable thing, and I can't flip and wait. And I'm still we need to call in every single bloody favor that we have. Well, not bloody favor, bloody in the British sense. Anyway, we need to call in every favor that we can to try to get as close to this place as we can, because the parks are going to be very busy.
Very, very busy.
And then once it opens in Florida, like that, and that's another thing is Florida. If you're a pass holder, or if you have a park hopper, at least you got other stuff to do. There's a lot more other stuff to do. You do your thing, you go back, or you sneak in right at the end. But you get on them gondolas, you go head out, and that's another thing. The gondolas are happening right now, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, the gondolas are testing, but they're not supposed to open until fall, which I find is very strange.
That it's got to go through a lot of tests.
Sure.
Yeah. Oy vey. It was 10 p.m. and they decided, yeah, that's when the embargo was up.
It was a very bizarre time for that to happen.
10 p.m. on a Wednesday.
It was, honestly, that's the most random drop of big news I've ever seen for something like this.
I know another reason why they did it now.
Huh.
Because we got Celebration coming up next month. You get all of this information out there, and then you go into more detail there, or you can start showing stuff off there. Chicago. Oi. All right. Well, it's a crazy amount of stuff here, and we like talking about it. We like breaking it down. If anybody's interested in us going deeper into the Star Wars side of it, let us know, or let Ken Knapsack know, so we can go and talk to a fellow Star Wars friend about all of this, because I'm sure they're doing a bunch of great stuff over at Force Center as well. And if you're a listener to this show and not a listener of that show, change it. We recently went over to Ken's, and we talked a little bit about the pre-drop of all of this news, and essentially talked about a lot of the stuff that ended up being confirmed.
Yeah.
So for a fun conversation, go on and head over to Force Center, wherever podcasts are sold. They're on Anchor, I believe. I think they're on Anchor. I'm pretty sure they're on iTunes.
Yeah.
I think they're on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all that stuff. So Force Center Podcasts, you'll know when you find it. Just look for the Donicas, because that's how Ken refers to us, because that's who we are.
Yeah.
Before we go, Andrea, where can the folks find you?
You can find me at Dole Whip Drea on Instagram and on Twitter.
And you can find me at Mark B. Donica on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow us at Party of Two Pod. We're on TeePublic at Party of Two. We just put up some new stuff for you Citrus Swirl fans and Pineapple Whip fans.
Woohoo!
Check that out. We're really happy about it. I would suggest either a light green or tan color for those. Looks real good on a tank top. It's right over your heart, where all of the fatty ice cream related things should go.
100%.
100%. But also follow us on Twitter, Party of Two Pod. Email at Party of Two Pod. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Black Spire Outpost. We will see you on the next ride.